Welcome to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit. On March 27, 2025, the Trump administration floored it with a 25% tariff on all imported vehicles, putting Mexico directly in the headlights. As the policy kicked in on April 3rd, it shook the core of North America's interconnected auto ecosystem. With decades of cross-border manufacturing suddenly under pressure, leaders across the US, Mexico, and Canada scrambled to stabilize their economies. What followed? A high-octane mix of diplomacy, disruption, and defense in one of the most pivotal trade showdowns in modern automotive history. A tariff tsunami hits the continent. The Trump administration's 25% tariff wasn't just a policy. It was a seismic jolt that fractured North America's finely tuned auto ecosystem. While Washington framed the move as a bold step to protect U.S. manufacturing and national security, the reality on the ground hit differently. Auto manufacturers across the continent suddenly found themselves navigating uncertainty, rerouted supply chains, and skyrocketing costs. What once flowed seamlessly across borders, parts, labor, logistics, was now gridlocked in red tape and reaction. The industry's signature just-in-time model threatened at every turn. Mexico, deeply embedded in this ecosystem, was hit hardest. Billions in exports and hundreds of thousands of jobs were now at risk. Production lines stalled, logistics firms scrambled, and investors flinched. Stellantis's Toluca plant became one of the first casualties, halting operations and sending a clear signal. The ripple effects were no longer theoretical. And while the USMCA agreement offers protections for compliant vehicles, these new tariffs laser-target non-compliant parts, precisely the components that keep modern vehicle production moving at speed. As the impact hit Mexico hard, the country's leadership had to make a critical decision: retaliate or recalibrate. Mexico keeps its cool but ramps up strategy. As tensions rose, President Claudia Sheinbaum didn't stomp the pedal in anger. She shifted gears with calculated finesse. While calls for immediate retaliation echoed at home, Sheinbaum stayed the course with diplomacy, earning widespread praise for her composed and strategic approach. In a moment of high-octane pressure, she positioned Mexico as the adult in the room. At the heart of her response is Plan Mexico, a robust initiative to reduce reliance on foreign imports and revitalize domestic industry. A standout effort is the Tariff electric bus rollout, boasting 70% Mexican-made components. It's more than an EV push. It's a bold statement of national industrial capability. Meanwhile, Economy Secretary Marcelo Ebrard is working diplomatic backchannels in Washington, aiming to dial down tensions before they spark a trade war. Mexico isn't pulling punches, though. It's weighing selective tariffs on U.S. goods like agriculture and electronics as leverage. This steady, forward-thinking stance is turning heads globally. European automakers, particularly German brands, are eyeing Mexico as a prime production hub under USMCA. But south of the border isn't the only place heating up. Canada's not sitting idle, and it's about to slam its own gear into reverse. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. This helps us reach more auto enthusiasts just like you. Now let's shift gears and steer towards our next point. Canada slams the gear into reverse on U.S. tariffs. If Mexico is playing the calm technician, Canada is coming in with a torque wrench. Prime Minister Mark Carney wasted no time enacting a 25% retaliatory tariff on U.S. vehicles that fall outside USMCA's framework. It's a clear signal. Ottawa won't sit in the passenger seat while the U.S. drives off course. Though Canada's auto sector isn't as massive as Mexico's, it's heavily integrated into the U.S. market, especially when it comes to parts, final assembly, and workforce flow. Carney's decision to draw the line has ignited a wave of support, both politically and from the public. Consumer boycotts are gaining traction, and Carney's campaign has framed the situation as a fight for economic sovereignty. The drama has even given his re-election numbers a boost, proving once again that automotive policy can drive political momentum. Unlike Sheinbaum's surgical diplomacy, Carney is talking coalition building. A proposed Canada-Mexico alliance to push back against Washington's tariffs, both diplomatically and economically, is gaining traction. This budding alliance could rewrite the rules of North American trade. The message to Washington? Unilateralism could put the entire USMCA and regional economic stability on the lift. And while government leaders push policy levers, the real-world consequences are already shaking the shop floor. Industry sentiment and the supply chain shock. Trump's sweeping auto tariffs sent a shock through the entire supply chain, and the industry is still feeling the jolt. Stellantis wasted no time pulling the brakes on operations in key facilities across Mexico and Canada, leading to 900 temporary layoffs at U.S. plants. Investors didn't need a second signal. Wall Street stumbled, and auto stocks dipped as fears of prolonged instability took hold. In Mexico, public opinion is riding an emotional seesaw. President Sheinbaum's steady response has 64% approval, but frustration is mounting. A majority of citizens say they'd support a boycott of U.S. goods if tariffs drag on. Businesses along the border are already dealing with the early symptoms: delayed shipments, rising costs, and shrinking margins. Meanwhile, U.S. reactions are sharply divided down party lines. Democrats slam the tariffs as self-defeating, while a slim Republican majority backs them, even if it hits consumer wallets. Trump dubbed April 3rd Liberation Day, but many economists warn this could trigger long-term damage to North American cooperation. So what's next on the dashboard? All eyes are on upcoming negotiations, and whether this trade war can find an off-ramp. Trade talks and turbocharged tensions. The road ahead is full of blind curves, but not without exits. President Sheinbaum is expected to unveil Mexico's formal counter-tariff plan to Congress by April 30th. Early indicators point toward targeted measures on U.S. exports like agriculture, electronics, and beverages. It's a deliberate approach, measured, not incendiary. At the same time, Mexico is easing off its dependence on U.S. trade by seeking new routes in Europe and Asia. But even the fastest trade realignments can't replace decades of deeply embedded auto integration. With nearly 1/3 of Mexico's exports to the U.S. tied to the automotive sector, that engine still drives everything. Meanwhile, Washington is deep in its own ideological pit stop. Is this a temporary high-stakes bluff from Trump, or a fundamental turn toward economic nationalism? Analysts are split. Still, both Canada and Mexico remain cautiously optimistic. As Carney put it, if North America weakens itself, no one wins. Secretary Ebrard's trip to D.C. could be the final opportunity to defuse the situation before real damage becomes irreversible. But before we close the hood on this episode, let's look at how Mexico's strategy is being judged on the global stage. Final verdict: Mexico's precision handling amid a policy pothole. Mexico's response to Trump's tariff salvo has been a masterclass in controlled maneuvering. While Canada went full throttle with retaliatory measures, President Sheinbaum chose to steer through the storm with strategic restraint, focusing on diplomacy, boosting domestic production, and rolling out initiatives like the Tariff EV bus program. This isn't just a quick fix, it's long-haul thinking in high gear. Still, the road ahead is anything but smooth. Supply chains are stressed, production is idling, and trade talks are just entering the starting grid. The future of North American integration, still hanging in the balance. Now it's over to you. Can diplomacy outlast economic pressure? Should Canada and Mexico shift into alliance mode? Are we watching a temporary tactic or a turning point? Will this reroute the global vehicle map? How will this shape the industry's next evolution? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from the tinkerers, the thinkers, and everyone passionate about what moves the world forward. And don't forget to subscribe to Piston Pundit for more trade breakdowns, engine insights, and real-time reactions to the twists and turns of the automotive world. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep your torque high and your timing tight. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.